watching South East Today with me, Natalie Graham. Tonight, we're in Hastings, a coastal town where the political weather is known to be changeable. Tonight, we'll be asking people who live here what issues matter to them in this general election. Water is something on everyone's mind here, whether it's sewage pollution, flooding or supply shortages.
I think water is our most precious asset. It's the most valuable and we can't afford to trash it or take it for granted.
Hello and welcome to a special edition of South East Today live in Hastings. With 3 weeks to go until polling day, we're in this classic bellwether constituency. That means that whichever political party wins this parliamentary seat almost always wins the keys to number 10 Downing Street as well. Now, this is an area that relies heavily on tourism and hospitality, and it's also one that's been affected by flooding in recent months and by the effects of sewage pollution. We're going to be talking about those issues tonight, but we're also going to be hearing from the people that matter most in this election, you, the voters. So our first report comes from our political editor, Charlotte Wright, and she's been asking the people who live in Hastings and Rye how they feel ahead of the general election on July the 4th.
Dawn breaks on the key battleground of Hastings and Rye, where the verdict of voters has mirrored the mood of the country for 40 years. We're here to find out what residents think this year. We start the day, as these women always do, at the beach.
What are the sort of things that you are worried about that are front of mind for you at the moment?
Everything. There's so many things that are wrong in the world and with this country and with this town. But I suppose primarily because I'm a swimmer and I love the sea, it would be the relentless and quite often unlawful dumping of raw sewage into our seas and rivers. And coming from a deprived town with a financial crisis, all we have is nature. That's free for us to go to. The beach is free for us to go to. And people can't even go to that.
Something has got to change. We can't continue as we have. Everybody's struggling. The cost of living is going through the roof. The energy bills, just buying food. I notice it. I probably pop to the supermarket 3-4 times a week, and I can't believe how much it's costing me just to top up on things like fruit.
Would you be happy to pay higher taxes?
I think we should tax the rich. My husband has a good job. We've talked about it a lot. He is quite happy to be taxed at a higher rate than he is at the moment because he wants the money to go into social services.
Warming up with a coffee along the beach, the owner of this cafe feels politicians have been focusing on the wrong things.
I get frustrated because I think we're being told, for example, that migration is a big issue, is a serious threat even, when actually housing has been dominated by an idea that housing is a business opportunity for some elite few rather than homes for all. And the ecological situation, I mean, what could be more important than what's going on here with sewage?
Well, as we heard in Charlotte's report, one of the issues that really matters to people right across Kent, Sussex and Surrey is that ongoing issue of sewage being dumped into our rivers and polluting the seas. And whichever party wins power on July the 4th, they will be under pressure to sort out the problem. Well, Claudia Sabasis has been hearing from all the politicians from all the parties fighting for our boats about what they intend to do about sewage if they get elected.
They're the dawn seekers. Sunrise, sunset. Looks idyllic, doesn't it?
We used to be at the beach all the time. As much time as we could get, we'd be at the beach, swimming in the sea, having picnics on the shoreline. But now, with the sewage, it's made it quite impossible.
Meet the Warden Dippers, Paula, Leslie, Tracy, Keely and Carly.
I think water is our most precious asset. It's the most valuable and we can't afford to trash it or take it for granted. And I can't understand why anybody isn't doing anything about the state of the sewage, because there have been increasing sewage discharges and it's just impacting on social well-being, on the environment in particular and on the economics.
Carly McShay started swimming 2 years ago to help with a back issue. She was in the water 2 to 3 times a week.
Roll on 2 years and I barely get in the sea for about once a month, which is such a shame because it really did help with the pain management. But the sewage is I just don't want to go in there now. It's put me off.
You know, I've covered this story myself several times over the last year, in Brighton, in Whitstable, and now here on the Isle of Sheppey. It's an issue people are passionate about, using our rivers, being able to swim in our seas. It's mentioned across all the manifestos, and it could sway votes. So what will the different parties do?
Our measures that we're going to bring down on the water companies start by banning bonuses to bosses, and if they continue to break the law, we're going to bring criminal charges against them. We're going to put monitors on every single water outlet so that they can't cover up their dumping of illegal sewage, and we're going to bring in automatic fines.
My first pledge is around keeping the sea clean enough to swim in, and where it's not, I will commit to holding the water companies to account for their role in the pollution, but not just holding them to account, but also engaging with them.
We've committed to abolishing Ofwat, which is the regulator, which has got no teeth, replace it with something that can actually take some action to actually hold these water companies to account. We've said that we would impose a windfall tax on the bonuses, on the profits being generated by these companies, as well as saying that the executives of the companies can no longer take bonuses from the company's profits.
So we would absolutely be bringing the water companies back into public hands, nationalising them as soon as practically possible. So one of the things that we'll be doing to bring that forward is to fine those water companies in the form of shares, so that over time we gradually bring them back into public hands.
We plan to hold the water companies to account for this, and hopefully our policy is to bring the water companies partly back into state ownership.
Back in Warden Bay, the message is clear.
It's awful. It's the smell, as well as you can see when you wash your clothes, you can see the muck coming out.
Just want to see clean water, basically, so we're able to swim when we want to.
And that's the point, to look after the sea, our rivers too, people and planet. Claudia Sebezes, BBC South East Today, Isle of Sheppey.